This is part 2 of my Niagara Peninsula tour. As you exit town on Queen's Parade, you'll pass by historic Fort George, which can be toured. It's situated directly across the river from Fort Niagara in Youngstown, New York. Fort George was the scene of several important battles during the War of 1812. The Canadian Army also used it as a training base in the First and Second World Wars. Since 1984, Canadians and Americans have been meeting here to reenact a battle that took place in May 1813. The Queen's Parade becomes the Niagara Parkway, which winds its way along the west ridge of the Niagara River, through parkland that stretches all the way from Lake Ontario to Lake Erie. Along this route, there are quite a few pull-offs with scenic views of the Niagara River. And yes, you'll pass right by Niagara Falls. Slow down, stop for a minute, take a look, take a few pictures, and depending on the prevailing wind, get drenched by the falling mist. The next village, heading south on Niagara Parkway, is Chippawa, founded in 1850. This small town is where James Cameron, Hollywood director of films such as The Terminator, Aliens, Titanic, just to name a few, spent his formative years. Also, it's not far from here where on July 5th, 1814, the Battle of Chippawa took place. One of the longest and bloodiest military operations of the War of 1812. A historic plaque now marks the battle site. The parkway meanders south along the west side of the Niagara River. It's been said that Sir Winston Churchill called the parkway the prettiest Sunday drive in the world. People may debate this, but it's definitely a really nice drive any day of the week. The Niagara Parkway becomes Niagara Boulevard, just north of the city of Fort Erie. Not far from here, you'll come upon Old Fort Erie Historic Museum. The original fort was built in 1764 and was part of a network of fortifications developed after the 7 Years' War. If you have the time, this often overlooked fort is definitely worth a look. Moving on from Old Fort Erie, Lakeshore Rd soon becomes Dominion Road. This will pass through some pleasantly shaded beach cottage areas such as Fort Erie Beach, Waverly Beach, and Crescent Beach. Time allowing, any of these can be a nice diversion if you need to get out of the saddle for a few minutes. Or, if a brisk walk is more your thing, just south of and running parallel to Dominion Road is the Friendship Trail, which travels 16 kilometers across the bottom of Fort Erie. The trail is part of the Trans-Canada Trail and occupies the abandoned rail bed of an old CN rail line. The next stop is Ridgeway Battlefield National Historic Site on Highway 3. On June 2, 1866, a battle took place here between the Fenian Raiders and Canadian militia. This didn't turn out too well for the fledgling Canuck troops, but it did turn out to be a catalyst for Canadian Confederation the following year. The battlefield was designated a National Historic Site in 1921. Continuing west on Highway 3 brings you to Lock 8, Gateway Park, the southern terminus and final lock of the Welland Canal system, just before it reaches Lake Erie. From here, head south to Lakeshore Road. This is a mildly paced serpentine ride following the north shore of Lake Erie. Along here, Lakeshore Road is lined with small cottages, some over a century old, many of which are being carefully restored. And to the left, a relatively constant view of the lakeshore.